All right, I'm going to do a quick video on my rough inspection experience. So hopefully I and you can remember these tips on how to deal with your inspector and city planner and building department, and how to pass the inspection and how to plan your ADU so that you reduce problems. Essentially, I finished the rough framing, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, and called in for an inspection for all of that for the next day. And then yesterday was the next day, and an inspector who I had not met before showed up, and he informed me that no, you can't do that. They don't want you putting plumbing and electrical and stuff in the walls until the walls have been inspected, so that in case there's a problem with the framing or whatever, you won't have to rip out your plumbing and electrical to fix it. So he only inspected my truss framing and diaphragm, which I think is just the exterior walls essentially. And what he did was he just checked the plans to see where the hold downs were, came around and kicked the hold downs, made sure they were tight. He found one of my trusses and made sure that the name on the truss was matching the name and location on the truss plans, which are a separate packet usually from your regular plans. And after just checking one truss, he said, okay, looks good to me, and left. He also, this is kind of irrelevant, he forgot to sign off on the permit card, but I don't know, maybe he was in a hurry. So he left, and then a couple hours later, an inspector whom I had before called and said, hey, there was an inspector there today. How long was he there for? And I said, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And the inspector on the phone said, okay, well, yeah, he completed all of his inspections very quickly today. And so I was just calling to confirm kind of how much time he spent at each of the inspections. He said at my inspection, it should have been closer to 45 minutes to check all of the truss framing, the hardware, and all of the hardware with the rough framing, straps, hold downs, clips, things inside between the blocks here. There's more clips back there. And so he said he just wanted to verify, make sure, even though he believed that I probably did everything just right, he would be out the next day to check. I said, that's fine, that's great, because I'm going to schedule another inspection for tomorrow anyways, since I could only get the framing and roof truss inspections done. So he said, great, see you tomorrow. So the next day, which is today, not the new inspector, the inspector who called me on the phone, whom I've had before, said, hey, I don't usually do ADU inspections. I schedule those out to somebody else, but because I have worked with you before, I've seen your work, I know you're pretty good. I knew this would go pretty smoothly. So he came and looked at my plans, and he saw, wow, you've got everything highlighted and all of the important things are noted here. And he said, this just makes my job so much easier. Thanks for doing that, blah, blah, blah. We went through and checked everything pretty quickly, less than 45 minutes for all of the inspections that were scheduled. And he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to see if I can inspect all of your plumbing and electrical and mechanical as well today. So he basically said, yeah, I think we can do this really fast. So he looked around and picked out the things that needed to be fixed, and there wasn't much. He said, this looks really good. He said, better than a lot of contractors. So he said, yeah, just the fact that you're doing such a good job here, and you've got your notes, you're doing everything well, and it probably helped that, the job site's clean. I've got the walls vacuumed out. There's no dust in there. You can see everything very clearly. It's not just a complete mess of wires. There's, clips and things are labeled, and everything went smoothly. So basically, the inspectors really like that, and they're willing to help you out if you've got a clean job site, you've got your plans well prepared and clean, organized, notes, highlighters. He said he really likes that. He gave me some other tips that are kind of important for ADUs in my area, but it might help you, and I don't know what it's like in other cities. But for me, the pre-approved ADU plans, they have a note in there saying that you cannot change anything in those pre-approved plans if you're going with that permit. And he said if you do want to change anything, it's got to be done on a separate permit, which this is what I've done. I have a separate permit with separate engineering, separate design, even though I only changed like a window, a couple doors, and added a bathroom. And the rest of the AD is basically the same. I've got a whole new permit just because I changed those 3 or 4 things. And so he said that's kind of the way to go, is to have a separate permit for in our area and not use the pre-approved ADU plans, because he said sort of the head inspector or the head of the department there, they will not allow any changes, even like architectural changes, like having supportive corbels or changing the siding style, changing an electric panel from flush mount to surface mount. They won't allow it, and you'll have to go through like a separate permitting process for those changes if you're going to do it. So that's a helpful tip. If you're going to be building an ADU, make sure that you want the plans that are exactly described in the ADU plan. And if you want to change anything, make sure you talk to your designer and the city about that, so that to have your designer draw up the plans as you want them, and make sure those changes are recorded at the very beginning of the process, because it just becomes a headache for you, and you might have to pay extra to your designer to have them make the changes, and then maybe pay extra, to have like a re-evaluation of your permit or something by the city, and they might charge hourly for that. And I think that about covers the tips for this inspection. So again, it's different everywhere, and every inspector is different, but do a good job, try your best, tell the truth, read your plans, highlight things, keep it clean. And if you need help, call the city and ask them, hey, I'm building this ADU, owner builder, blah, 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 whatever, and I want to know what inspection do I have to do next? Or even or you can email them. That's worked for me too. And I think it's better to do that than to try to fumble your way through it. And I think that's it.